LGBTQ plus rights are on the docket as the Supreme Court starts its new term.
Yeah, the fall term has just taken off, and while there are a lot of different issues at stake here, there is one specific LGBTQ related to, bill issue on the docket, and that would be the bill of 303 Creative LLC versus Elenis. Um, and basically, it comes down to, do businesses have the right to refuse customer services based on their religious beliefs? Now, you may be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, didn't we already do this about a cake baker? Well, yes, but there, hold on to that thought because we're going to come back to that individual in just a little while. But the case didn't get the type of response that people were hoping for. And so the conservatives, political machine pushed this case forward again. It's a slightly different case. Circumstances are the same, but the idea being they want to get a more favorable ruling now that there is a more favorable to the conservative court available.
Mhm. This was an interesting one for me. I don't know how much I've expressed opinion on this sort of idea, but I was kind of I grew up on the idea that a restaurant has the right to refuse service to anyone. Like we've seen these signs in restaurants and businesses a lot, and so you know it's interesting because I understand you not wanting to do to be forced to do a website for a Nazi group or some of these things. And I think it comes down to, like I like to say a lot in other arguments that we were talking about, is social or important service industries like restaurants, food that are important, that people need restaurants. That's a food is a necessity for folks. So
Yeah.
that's something that you shouldn't be able to deny someone service at. Whereas something like baking a cake or a web service, like it seems like you should be able to be more choosy. Um, that's just kind of like what I've always thought about it. So I'd love to hear your opinion on that encounter, if you have a counter.
So this is one of those type of situations that I've had some strong feelings in the past given my previous employment, but right now it's truly a matter. I This is, quite frankly, a capitalist economy. And if we are going to maintain a free enterprise system, then the right to refuse should be part and parcel of that. Because this is a matter of, you know, this is free exchange. Um, if you want my services, you have to pay for them. If I don't want to provide you the services, I don't have to. That means I lose your money. That's the only thing that I'm losing out on. So, I'm very much of the mind of saying, no, I will not provide you a service knowing that it's going to cost me. That's just where I am right now, because seeing the capitalist economy where we are, you know, now do we need to go back to the civil rights movement and lunch counters and things like that? Maybe we do. Maybe we do have to have these type of movements. But again, that has to be an economical thing and not necessarily a legal thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, I think I would agree with that completely. Kari on the production booth there says that I draw the line at bigotry, and that's the really tough thing about free speech, is that it's really hard sometimes to draw those lines, because how do you bring it down to bigotry and not just like someone's true religious belief or something else. Like we all have our beliefs, and like I said, there are certain things that certain people I would not want to work with because of the cause that they're
Mhm.
promoting. And you can make different cases for that, but when you look at it on the whole, like it's not really that that difference. So it's like becomes very difficult to make those distinctions. And again, in terms of public services, things that can be deemed as public services, like providing food, I think that that should be a different story than things that are not necessities, that are luxuries, like developing a website for a wedding, or a wedding cake. Again, that is a food, but like not a necessity one. So it's like, oh,
Right.
I don't know, because the thing is I know my thinking is based on a city environment, an urban environment. This cake shop doesn't allow you to, will not make a cake for you. You go to the next one. Again, the capitalist system where it's you just go to the next business and
Right.
find the one that will do the work for you. But in smaller cities, in rural areas where you don't have multiple options, I can see where that is a completely different concern.
Now, I want to take a different tack on on this counterpoint. Um, the Constitution does not protect someone's beliefs; it protects someone's practice. See, it's the idea that the Constitution does not protect your beliefs. We have people in this country who believe harmful things. For example, living in Kentucky, I've known quite a few snake handling churches. They would purposely bring vipers into their church and handle snakes. And there was a time when there were multiple fatal bites that happened within the church. All right. So when we're talking about beliefs, you know, does the government have a right to step in and say, you are creating an environment where people are being hurt for your beliefs? If a parent is, if their child is exposed to that and that child gets bit and dies, does that parent have right of recourse to hold that church liable? Well, the belief is that child should not have died. That is their belief. That child should not have died. Now, does that release them from their liability? Absolutely not, because it was their practice. Their practice put somebody else in danger. Flipping it on its head, baking a cake is not a religious practice. Building a website is not a religious practice. Those are not protected because this is a commercial venture. It is not a religious belief venture.
Mm-hmm.
Because a Muslim, a Hindu, a Christian, and an atheist walk into a web building class together. Those four people are going to come out with the same skills to do the exact same thing. So building a website or baking a cake or taking pictures is not a religious practice. If you want to say, I don't believe in that, okay, great. But understand, the Constitution does not protect your beliefs, it protects your practices.
Very well put. I appreciate that.